Recently, the NFL has been making a push to play more games out of the country in an attempt to test international market waters. And with all these games being played in Brazil, and Mexico, and Germany, and London, it begs the question, how soon should we expect the NFL to establish an international division with international teams? I want to make it clear from the start that I think expanding internationally is a garbage idea. But if the NFL came to me and put a gun to my head and said, create some international teams, what do you got? I'd probably say pull the trigger. No, but in all honesty, if I had to make international teams, this is how I do it. Before we get into the 8 new NFL international teams that I have for you, we need to go through some logistics first. Because after all, how are playoffs going to work, and scheduling, and divisions? So let's get right into it. First off, we're splitting these 8 teams into 2 separate divisions. One division is the American division, where 4 teams in the Americas will play, and the other 4 teams, which are in Europe, will be in the European division. Now, this is where things get interesting. In addition to being in their own separate division, where like in any other division, they play each other twice. Not only that, but each of these 8 international teams is also part of one of the existing divisions. Okay, so you're like, how does that work? I know that sounds crazy, which is why I'm going to put the bib around your neck and spoon feed you this information nice and slowly so you can understand it. There are 2 ways for an international team to get into the playoffs. They can either, 1, have the best record in their international division, American or European, in which they are guaranteed one of the 3 existing wildcard spots. Teams in the Americas would go in the AFC wildcard spots, and teams in the European division would go in the NFC wildcard spots. The other way an international team can make the playoffs is if they have a better record than the teams in their respective NFC or AFC division. So in other words, any international team has a chance to steal one of the existing AFC or NFC division titles. I don't blame you if you don't like this playoff picture scenario that I present to you. I did painstaking research. I was in the lab combining all kinds of formulas to find out how to add another 8 teams without ruining the equilibrium that we have with the 32 teams of the NFL today. I honestly think this is the best way. Let's kick this video off in the European division. The first team and city that we are looking at is none other than London. London makes sense for too many reasons. Number 1, the NFL seems to have a love affair with London, and especially with the Jacksonville Jaguars going to London every freaking week. In fact, it almost makes more sense to just move the Jaguars to London, but I digress. London has a metro population of around 15 million people, and they're one of the fastest growing American football audiences in Europe. Every single London NFL game brings in tons of people, and those fans go crazy. So what better gift to give London than their own NFL team? They obviously have the stadium and the fans for it, so it makes too much sense. When looking at team names for London, a lot of things came to mind. I definitely considered the London Teabags or the London Bridges, but thought that maybe that'd be a little bit out of taste. No, but in all seriousness, I definitely considered the London Royals, the London Dragons, but those all felt like low-hanging fruit, and I wanted to do something that was very unique. I did some research into London and England as a whole, and I found out that the national flower of England is the Tudor rose. And apparently the yeoman wardens that guard the London towers and stuff, they wear this rose on their uniforms. I wanted to put this idea of protection together with the rose, together with some of the history of London, which includes fairy tales of King Arthur and the Knights at the Round Table. So the team that I have for you is the London Paladins. I got really close to calling them the London Rose Knights, but I thought this sounded too much of like a college team name. The logo is 4 rosebuds in a kind of artistic sort of design, with the team colors being red, black, and white, with the uniform design being this really nice combo of colors that I made myself on a uniform designer online. And unlike my last video, I am including the helmet design, which that just looks too clean. So London Paladins, welcome to the NFL. There's another city in England that just makes too much sense to have in the European division, and that city is Manchester. Manchester has one of the biggest stadiums I've ever seen with Etihad Stadium. Like, that thing looks huge. And even though it is a soccer stadium, I'm sure you could repurpose it for the NFL. The Manchester metro population is the 3rd largest in the United Kingdom, with a population of 2.92 million, so nearly 3 million people, which is definitely less than London, but it's still a great amount of people. Once again, I did some digging through Manchester history, but nothing really stood out out to me as screaming, "Call me this for an NFL team." I turned to national symbols of England like the rose and decided that the bulldog, which is one of the most prominent animal figures in England, would make a great name for a team. So the team that I have for you is the Manchester Mastiffs. Like all the logos that I'll be showing, these are all AI generated, but come on, that just looks too clean. So team colors are like this very light purplish bluish color, a light brown color, and a cream color. The colors for the uniform are a little off. This is more of like a light blue, but you still have the helmet here with the Mastiff on it. It just looks really, really clean to me, and it's also kind of a callback to the LA Bulldogs, one of the most popular NFL teams that was never actually in the NFL. So Manchester Mastiffs, welcome to the NFL. So since we covered two teams in London, it only makes sense to put a team in Germany, and more specifically, let's put a team in Berlin. Berlin is the capital of Germany and has a metro population of around 6 million people, which actually doesn't sound like a lot for the capital of Germany, but it's still a solid amount of people. Now, when looking for a team name for the city of Berlin, I definitely had to be careful as far as like looking through history, especially more recent history of Germany. If you know what I mean. For Berlin, I decided to go back to the medieval ages. I wanted this team to represent the Germanic knights of old. I wanted to embrace the language of these foreign countries. So for Berlin, I have for you the Berlin Krieger. Krieger is German for warrior. And to represent the logo of this warrior, I have a coat of arms. This coat of arms really represents the entirety of German history. The white shield represents the purity of all the German people. The griffin represents the brave knights of Germany that helped to defend their borders, with the red color representing the blood that was shed for the country. The little black bush at the bottom of the coat of arms represents the fact that Germany came from small beginnings and yet grew into what it is today. No, I'm just kidding. I just made that up. Honestly, I just popped this into AI and it just gave me something cool looking, so I rolled with it. But it's still really cool, and pairing it with colors of purple, white and black, and red, with this really cool uniform, the helmet with the coat of arms on it. I mean, come on, that's just too clean. Berlin Krieger, welcome to the NFL. See you on the battlefield. To round out the European division, I was definitely torn. I considered putting a team in Paris, possibly putting a team in Italy or Poland, but honestly, and this is a testament to the German people, they just really freaking love American football, and popularity has been rising in their country. So I decided to go with another huge city from Germany, and the city I went with is Munich. With 6 million people and a huge stadium in the Allianz Arena, Munich definitely has the capability to support their own NFL team. With a population of 6 million people, Munich was definitely one of the funnest cities to research just because of how much of it came back to beer. Things like Oktoberfest and all the different beers that were created in this city. The low-hanging fruit would have been to call this team like the Munich Steins or something. But I wanted to take it deeper. What lies beneath the booze? We all know that booze comes from wheat and barley and grains of the field, and the people that go and harvest this wheat are called reapers. And come on, reapers just sounds so freaking cool. You're probably wondering, why don't I use the German translation for reaper if I did it for Berlin? And the reason is because the word for reaper in German is Schnitter. Welcome to week 4 of the NFL season, where the Dallas Cowboys will be hosting the Munich Schnitters. So unfortunately for the Munich Reapers, we're keeping it to the English variation of the name. This is the first time for team colors I'm actually embracing like the national or like the city flag in colors. The city's flag is a black and yellow checkered background, so that's the colors I went with black and yellow. And this uniform design, sheesh, come on, like tell me that this uniform with this checkered helmet and that logo, come on, that just goes hard. Munich Reapers, welcome to the NFL. In all honesty, I think that these 4 teams is pretty much all we need from a European division at this time. But what about the Americas? This is where things get more interesting. Obvious choices definitely include teams in Canada and Mexico, but some people would also argue Brazil. Here's my argument against Brazil and why there won't be a Brazilian team. Look at how freaking far away Brazil is from the rest of the United States. The European division works because there's 4 teams that can all play with each other. I'm not confident that I can place 4 teams in Brazil. Let's just say I place 1 team in Mexico City and 1 team in Sao Paulo. That flight time is 9 hours. So we're saying that potentially the closest game for a Sao Paulo team would be 9 hours away. It's just not happening. The same can be said for Japan and Australia. Especially with Japan, there's been a recent increase in interest in the sport of American football, but Japan and Australia are just too far away, and there's not enough cities in these countries to support enough NFL teams to play with each other. So I decided to keep the new America teams to just Canada and Mexico. The first city we're going to take a look at is Mexico City, which honestly is a no-brainer. Mexico City is one of the largest cities in the entire world with a metro population area of 21 freaking fracking million people. If a city like this can't support an NFL team, I don't know what can. Obviously, with a city being this big and it's been around for so long, there's so much history to get into, but for once I decided to be lazy and just kind of go for the low-hanging fruit. And the reason is because this low-hanging fruit is so stinking sweet. The team that I have for you are the Mexico City Toros. Oh, sheesh. Ooh, that looks so nice. There's no way you can look at this logo and tell me that it's not already like a top 5 logo in the NFL. With the red eyes symbolizing the fact that bulls get angry when they see red. I don't care if that's a myth or if that's real. That's just too fire. So the team colors are a matte black, dark red, and metallic gray. This uniform and helmet combo, come on, what are we even talking about? Mexico City Toros, welcome to the NFL. Keeping it in Mexico, I wanted to do one more Mexican team. Guadalajara was definitely a choice, but I decided to go a little more north to Monterrey. The reason is because Monterrey has the second largest metro population area in Mexico, which is 5,300,000 people. Definitely nothing to sneeze at. What started out as just like a small town for farmers and cowboys turned into like the highest industry-based city in Mexico, which, to be honest, industry is cool, but not cool for an NFL team. What makes Monterrey stand out from other Mexican cities, though, is the fact that it's kind of within a mountain range. There are mountains all around Monterrey, and this is kind of why people would visit Monterrey, not because of the sightseeing in the city, but because of all the nature and mountains around the city. So the team that I have for you are the Monterrey Alpinistas. Alpinistas translates to mountaineers, with the logo being a twin peaks in the form of an M for Monterrey or Mexico, either works. I'll be honest, this kind of looks like the Oregon Ducks, but that's fine. They're still good colors. Green, light green, and yellow. Might be my least favorite of the uniforms I designed, but still looks pretty clean. Monterrey Alpinistas, welcome to the NFL. Before we get into these last 2 teams, thank you so much for watching this video up to this point. Make sure you subscribe for more of these videos, and let me know, what do you guys want to see next? I definitely want to get you guys involved in this process. I think it's really fun, and I think that by doing things like community polls and stuff, we could be able to potentially make our own league all together. Once again, thank you so much for all of the support. Let's get right back into it. There's only 2 teams left to flesh out the American division, and the 2 teams are both in Canada. The first city we're going to look at is Toronto. The Toronto metropolitan area is 6.7 million people, which definitely works for the NFL. For the Toronto name, I wanted to do a callback to the Native American Indians that used to live in the area. The Native Americans in that area were definitely known for their pictographs and petroglyphs. I'm pretty sure I pronounced those correctly. And one very famous pictograph that they would make would be the Thunderbird. The Thunderbird has also been represented by the Native American people using totem poles. This name was too cool to pass over, and we could always use another bird team. So the team for Toronto are the Toronto Thunderbirds. The logo with the Native American Thunderbird just looks really nice, with colors of like a light orange, cream, and burgundy. This uniform and helmet combo is just a little too clean. Toronto Thunderbirds, welcome to the NFL. The last city that we're going to be looking at in today's video is, in fact, Montreal. I definitely considered Vancouver, Winnipeg, Calgary, but why choose a city that's on the other side of Canada when you can just choose a neighbor to Toronto in Montreal? With 4.3 million people, Montreal is definitely closer to the sea than Toronto and is predominantly a French-speaking city. I put my stupid little thinking cap on, spun the propeller, and pulled up Google Translate. The French word for shark is requin. That's not even fair how cool that sounds. So the team I have for you, the last team in the America division, is is the Montreal Requin. I'm not even using a shark as the logo. I felt like a sea serpent or some kind of mythical sea creature would be more representative of fears that people may face with being so close to the sea, especially having a river that comes straight from the sea through their city. Team colors are basically just the colors of the ocean. I mean, it doesn't get much more simple than that. And there's no way you can look at this uniform helmet combo and not tell me it just speaks the language of the sea. So there you have it. 2 teams in Canada, 2 teams in Mexico to represent the American division, 2 teams in England, and 2 teams in Germany to represent the European division. I really appreciate you all for watching this. I hope you all have a great day. Once again, let me know what other videos I should make. Subscribe to my other channel, Animal Fries. That's my main channel, or at least it was my main channel before you guys showed up. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a great day.